I have a bit of a bone to pick with the whole muscle dysmorphia, body dysmorphia crowd on Instagram, because I've seen for a long time people say on social media how as you get more jacked, as you grow in the gym, you actually become more insecure about your body and you feel like you're smaller than you actually are. I think that's a very real thing. However, I think I found a way around that, and I personally don't actually experience that, and I want to talk about that today because I want to help you guys also not experience that, because it's something that you do not want to experience when you put in all that hard work in the gym and you end up feeling worse about yourself. And I'm aware that a lot of people experience this, so I think it's important that we actually take a deep dive into this so this doesn't happen to you. And if you already experience this, hopefully this video does help you. So the other day I posted a story. I basically did a poll on Instagram. It was, do you think muscle dysmorphia is inevitable, or can you get around it? Can you make it not happen? The majority said that it's inevitable. It's going to happen to you. It's guaranteed. And I can understand that because a lot of people do experience it, but I don't think it is guaranteed. And I think the way I've gone about my training and the way I've gone about viewing myself has led into me not thinking that it's guaranteed. Okay, so why do people think it's guaranteed? The first thing is that before you go to the gym, you're not really focusing on how you look that much. I mean, at least I wasn't personally, but I suppose a lot of people are nowadays. But for the, like, compared to how you would focus on yourself when you start working out, you're not that focused on your body because you're not trying to improve it every day. So you're not looking for improvements like every time you go to the gym, basically. But as you start working out, as you start actually growing, you start paying attention to yourself more and you start noticing things you're not actually too happy with. Whereas before you started going to the gym, you weren't looking at these things because you weren't going to be happy with the whole package, so you didn't pay attention to any one thing. The reason why I disagree with this is because I think that if you're actually happy with your physique before you go to the gym, that any improvements you make after that are just a bonus. You end up feeling better and better about yourself. So for me, for example, look at this picture of me before I started the gym. I was skinny as hell. Like, I had no meat on my bones whatsoever, but I actually was happy. I thought that I was bigger than I was. So as I actually started gaining muscle and grew my physique, I became more and more happy and was like, wow, okay, actually I'm looking bigger and bigger. And then now looking back at the times where I thought I was really big, I wasn't. And compared to now, I'm a lot bigger now. But at the time I thought I was big, and so that really helped my mindset in terms of feeling good about myself. I'm thinking of this one picture right now where I was in a club and I got a picture with my mate and I was thinking, oh my God, my arms are filling out this shirt. I look huge. Yeah, I didn't look that huge, but because I thought that about myself, I was happy. And so I've been happy along this whole journey because every single improvement that I actually make has just been an added bonus. Now, here's where people go wrong. They will think that once they get this thing, once they grow this muscle or hit this number on bench press or change this thing about their body, then they'll be happy. But you have to realise that unless you're happy with yourself right now, you won't be happy when you have these other things. It's the same as getting rich. If you're not happy when you have less money, the more money you gain will not mean that you're happier and happier. So same with your physique. As you grow your physique, unless you're happy when you're in like the first basic stages, you won't get happier as you get bigger. So this comes down to a lot of how you talk to yourself. If you talk to yourself in a really negative way and you beat yourself up for the things you can't change, then that's going to lead to a very negative mindset and you're not going to feel good about how you look and everything about yourself. So going to the gym will not fix that. Hence where the body dysmorphia kicks in, because you objectively start looking better and better, but you don't see that because you don't feel good about yourself. And unfortunately, no amount of muscle will actually fix that. So one basic thing that I actually did to improve the way I thought about myself was I actually just got a bit delusional. So the things that weren't objectively untrue, I just told myself that I was slightly better than I was. So for example, thinking that I was bigger than I actually was, I just kept telling myself that I'm huge. Like, I wasn't, but it's not like a definitive yes or no, you're huge. So I just told myself that I was bigger than I was, and over time that mindset just led to me thinking that I was actually bigger than I was. Now I'm quite realistic with it, but I do think that helped me as I grew. It's the same with confidence. You can fake it till you make it, because confidence isn't a real thing that you have. It's a mindset. So if you come across to other people as confident because you're faking confidence, you are confident. That's how it works. So you can do the same with the gym. You can almost trick yourself into being happy with the things you can't change. You just have to not beat yourself up about it. There's this thing of, you wouldn't talk to your friends how you talk to yourself. So why do you talk to yourself in the way that you do? And so that negative self-talk is going to impact how you see yourself and how you see your physique. And as you gain muscle, that's not going to change things. And something else that I did was go to therapy. Now, I went to therapy for a completely different reason, but going there changed the way I view myself and the things I say to myself. And actually that was very beneficial in terms of just shedding myself in a more positive light. And how you talk to yourself, how you view yourself will impact how you show up in the real world. So it's important you fix that as soon as you can. And like I said, therapy and listening to podcasts that really are mindset related. Mindset stuff sounds so cheesy, but it's so important. You have to change that inner voice and the way you talk to yourself, because the people who have the most body dysmorphia are the ones that talk to themselves most negatively. And as you start growing in the gym and you get compliments from other people telling you how much you've improved and how good you look, take that on board. Don't just dismiss it. It's very easy to get a compliment from someone and just brush it off because you don't actually believe that about yourself. But if you continue to get the same compliment over and over again, you have to accept that maybe what they're saying is actually true. And so you not thinking that and believing that about yourself is really just because of what's going on in here. That's where you need that positive self-talk. These compliments that you get from people, you need to take those actually on board and don't just brush them off. And don't get me wrong, that's something that's very easily done. I get a lot of compliments. I get a lot of compliments. Well, I get a lot of compliments on my physique right now, and it's very easy to just brush it off and think, okay, but I don't actually believe that about myself, and maybe these people are just saying it to make me feel good. Well, maybe, but maybe they're not. Maybe they're saying that because that's actually how they see you. So don't just brush these off. Take it on board, and it's something that I'm actively working on myself, because sometimes compliments are very hard to accept, especially if you don't talk to yourself in a positive way. So when someone says something nice to you, actually believe it and assume they're telling the truth. Now, I know what people are going to say. They're going to say, Sam, you got good genetics. Of course you're happy with your physique. You look better than most people. Well, I'm not going to say no to that, because obviously I do have relatively good genetics. That is true. But even things I can't change, like I'm 5'8". I'm not very tall, but if I keep telling myself that, oh, you're not tall enough to do this, and like, there's no benefit to telling myself that I'm really short. That's going to affect how I show up in the real world and how I view myself. So I just don't keep saying that to myself. And so same with the physique thing. By the way, height is something that I actually can't change. Whereas if you have, like, say, no muscle at the start of the gym and you start growing, well, that is something you can change. And that's what I wanted to say with the genetics thing, because that is a big part of how you look when you go to the gym. Some people do have bad genetics, but you have to look at it like this. If you start working out, if you start growing, you're going to look better than what you did at the start. Always just compare yourself to how you looked at the start, rather than comparing yourself to the next person that you're just never going to look like. And as long as you're making progress over time, you should look at that objectively and think, wow, okay, actually I do look a lot better than I did, and focus on that, because this is easier said than done. But the only person you should be comparing yourself to is you in the past. And once you only start comparing yourself to you, that's when you really start to feel more positive about yourself and you don't feel that body dysmorphia. And actually, just one final point I want to add before I wrap this up. Sometimes, and this is going against my whole point in this video, but I just need to add this. Sometimes that voice telling you that you're not actually looking the way you should is actually because you're not. If you are objectively not putting in the work to look as good as you can, and then you don't feel good about yourself because of it, start putting in the work. Because as much as I said fake it till you make it, unless what you're saying to yourself is actually plausible, then it's just never going to work. So if you're a fat piece of shit, get in shape, and then you'll start feeling more positive about yourself. And shameless plug, if you need any help with getting in shape, there's a link below for my coaching. Go and check it out. But I think I've pretty much said everything I want to say. So if you have any questions or any sort of mindset shifts you need, just comment them below, because I would love to try and help you guys out the best that I can. And if you would like to see more of me, there's a video here. Click on that. I'm sure you'll enjoy it. But yeah, until the next one.